everyone heads out to find their path in a life so full of storms. But we're not so tough that we've outgrown the road that leads us back home. Even the hardest heart will sometimes skip a beat when the world turns right side up and everything seems at peace, and the smallest crack can start to let in a little spark, even in the hardest heart. We try to stay the same until we see all our children need us to do, and the truth shines bright in their eyes. We must grow so they can too. Even the hardest heart will sometimes skip a beat when the world turns right side up and everything seems at peace, and the smallest crack can start to let in a little spark, even in the hardest heart. Some build a wall they can't get around that they want us to help them break through. For no one hides without needing to be found by the warmth that they once knew. Even the hardest heart will sometimes skip a beat when the world turns right side up and everything seems at peace, and the smallest crack can start to let in a little spark, even in the hardest heart.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Aaron's Opinion, the podcast for blind people where we talk about critical issues in the blindness community. Welcome back. I'm Aaron Richmond. Tonight, like all other episodes, is, of course, copywritten by me, Aaron Richmond, and Aaron's Opinion. Thanks so much. You can watch this episode right here on YouTube, as so many of you do, along with listening to us on iTunes. Welcome back. Telephone number for your text message contributions and voicemails, or if you just want to get in touch with me, 1-240-681-9869. Aaron's Opinion 6 at gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, even consider becoming a patron on my Patreon. And of course, comment below right here on YouTube. Why, hello there, guests. Who might you be to give us such a very, very beautiful and a very endearing introduction? Who are you? Introduce yourself.
My name's Happy Ron. I'm a songwriter from San Diego. Been writing songs for about 20 years. I'm doing it full time right now, and so that's who I am.
We're so glad you're here. I loved that. I loved that. Yeah, that was so that was really unusual. The way you approach it's really unusual and really beautiful and really, really soothing and just really pleasant. That was just a really nice little piece there. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, really enjoyed that. So okay. Well, why don't you talk a little bit about how you got into songwriting, because so many blind people are very serious songwriters and are just fascinated by music in general. So what can you tell us about songwriting to begin with it? To begin.
I mean, songwriting in general?
Sure.
I think songwriting is, they say that music actually predates language. Because if you think about it, birds sing, but they don't speak. So I think music actually reaches into a part of us that's actually, people probably made sounds before they actually made actual words. And if you listen to words, there's a kind of rhythm to how we speak. There's tones. Like if you cross different nations, any nation you go to, people will tease in a major fifth. It goes neener, 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 or mama. So there's a universality of music that I think really helps us to connect to our bodies and to our feelings in a way that, because I think it predates language. So I think that's what we tap into when we write songs. We're getting into something beyond the words, although words are an important part of songs.
Without any doubt, without any doubt. Yeah, I actually played the flute for many years in
Oh,
school and university and summer camps, so I'm very very supportive and very familiar with the importance that music plays in our lives. And I think it does in today's world. I think we all need some music, something pleasant. And as I said, something unusual for our minds to hear. It's always great to hear originals.
so I'd like
Um,
to interview you a bit since we'll do a
go
mutual
right ahead.
interview here.
Go right
Since some of
ahead.
my fans might be listening to this as well. And so you're blind and you do a TV YouTube show for issues on the for the blind community.
Sure
And
thing.
and
So I've
what can you tell me about the importance of music, particularly for people that are blind? What can you tell people that are maybe fans of mine listening?
Well, I think for us blind people, I think we're very attuned to the music community. I think we certainly are very aware of the importance of music in our lives. I think a lot of us blind people simply need something to listen to, whether it's a podcast or music. I think that I think you are most definitely something that we need. Your talent, your willingness to produce things that are pleasant to the ear are things that us blind people and everybody else too, but certainly blind people need to listen to. What was going on was about a year. So my academic background is in the field of international relations, and by trade I'm a teacher, meaning my day job is I'm a teacher online, and I was listening to a lot of podcasts, for blind people, and I discovered one thing. I discovered that all of the podcasts that I were listening to were great, but they never were approachable. And I'm someone who wants to be approachable. I love to complain, I love to educate people, and I love to talk. Well, if you love complaining, talking, and educating, why didn't I start a podcast? I thought. So I started talking to myself, and next thing you know, I have people listening and people giving me it was actually incredibly hilariously funny. I had one of my guests who was on my podcast actually told me to told me to interview someone. So I have people who are telling me who to interview on my podcast, and then he admitted it. He said, because really I just want you to do it. My internet is too slow. So I got a huge kick out of that. So and then of course I'm blind, so I'm in the blindness community, and um Rob Castro Giovanni found me through listening to Aaron's opinion, and then through him I discovered the open mics, and then saw you. So I think
Oh,
that's I think the circle of how I discovered you in the first place. Yeah,
oh, right, great.
or something to that effect. Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
What if someone was watching this? What would you say to a sighted person? What would be the main thing you'd want a sighted person, or what would the main thing people in the blind community would like sighted people to know about being blind, or about maybe misconceptions about it?
Sure thing. The thing that I want sighted people to know is that sighted people should just treat us like all other normal people. I mean, I'm certainly not perfect, and I wouldn't say I'm necessarily a normal person even if I was sighted. But if
Yeah.
I was, you should still be as normal. People should act in just a natural way, just as beautifully and naturally as you played that first original. In just a really relaxed, really approachable way. And that's one of the things that I'm seeing is that people are just not approachable enough, and just kind of, and I do have compassion for the fact that we're all at home. Everybody kind of is, we're all in a sense in our own little worlds, but our own little worlds have become the world. So that's our society now, I guess. Yeah, it's incredibly fascinating. But with podcasting, it's really easy now because you can get onto Zoom, you can record, and then you can upload.
Absolutely.
It's really the amount of reach that I have on a podcast and the amount of influence that you have just by coming to someone else's show. I mean, it's all positive, it's all helpful for everyone involved, without any doubt.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm on my first tour right now. It's an open mic tour where I've gone to 100 different open mics in the last month and a half, 2 months, and I haven't left my seat here. I do a weekly show where I go to hang out with my bass player. We do that every Monday at 7 o'clock on Facebook. Happy Ron. I do a weekly show that's Pacific time. And but aside from that, usually I'm just at home playing like I'm talking to you in the same seat. And I can play for people all over the world. It's really wonderful.
No, it's fascinating. My podcast, we have the hosting company has like a part of the site where you see your my analytics, and I see all the flags. They have their version of like fun with flags where you see all the flags. I have people all in Asia, Africa, Middle East, Europe, all the continents come to this podcast. But what about you? In the songwriter community, have you ever interviewed any songwriters from other countries that maybe don't speak English or do, but still, what do you think about that?
I know people all over the world. I've actually been on the internet since before the World Wide Web existed. So I've always been a computer person, even before I was a music person. So I
Great.
know people. I know people all over the world, and it gives you the kind of the opportunity to meet people that see the world differently. I'm I went to a I've been doing this leadership workshop with up in the mountains. We get together every couple of weeks, and it's a group of people, and yeah, I'm kind of your yeah I'm kind of middle of the road in many ways. I'm slightly left leaning, I guess, like most artists, I suppose. And we did a workshop, and I was 4 or 5 days into it. I'm a semi poor left wing guy, and then I realized in the workshop most people there were actually rich right wing people. But it didn't even occur to me until towards the end, because we didn't talk about politics. We're talking about being better people and better parents and better husbands and everything. And so it was a very powerful thing. It really depends on what you focus on in life. If you focus on common values, things that we all have in common, then I think issues like politics or religion or even handicaps, I think become less important because we all share the same sort of values, I think.
I agree. I
I have a
agree.
song about that if you'd like to hear it. I can
Well,
segue into it.
well, that's a perfect segue. Go right ahead.
It's about that moment when you're talking to someone, probably about something like politics, and you're about ready to say something you might regret. It's not easy to be free, that's how it should be. We argue over what we believe, but we're not gonna solve everything right here. We need to agree to disagree. I might prefer to stand and you might want to sit. We all do things a little differently. I'm glad that we are free to disagree. Sometimes people don't agree, seems alright to me. Why do we have to be mean? I won't call you weak, please don't call me freak. I'll listen to you if you listen to me. I might be headed left, you might be headed right. We all do things a little differently. I'm glad that we are free to disagree. I've been to many places that spoke with just one voice. But when I looked into their faces, I saw they had no choice, and I knew we need many viewpoints. I like what's in the center, you like what's on the side. We all do things a little differently. I'm glad that we are free to disagree. It's not easy to be free, that's how it should be. We argue over what we believe, but we're not gonna solve everything right here. We need to agree to disagree. We need to agree to disagree.
I agree.
Ah,
Magnificent. Magnificent. Yeah. Yeah. Now that I'm talking to you, the audio is really clear. All of your voice and the guitar is so much clearer here on Zoom than when I was watching on Facebook, I suppose, at one point. So, really, really nice. Very pleasant. Yeah, very, very pleasant.
yeah,
Yeah.
I have a little studio set up here, nothing fancy, but I have a nice professional microphone. And then, as
Mm-hmm.
everybody knows, when you're on Zoom, you need to turn on what's called original sound. If you don't know about that, look it up. And that actually helps your sound be better if you're playing music because Zoom has a feature built in that it kind of suppresses backing sounds because it's mainly made for voice. And you have to turn that off and turn on what's called original sound, and it makes playing music sound a lot better.
Yeah, I notice. I'm noticing that in my headset. Yeah, clearly you've turned on the original sound. I'm noticing the sound quality sounds different. Although Zoom is improving every time I use it. It gets better.
Absolutely.
I've noticed that with Zoom, the audio and the response to the audio is a lot clearer on Zoom these days than it ever was. Yeah,
Absolutely, yeah.
yeah,
I think more
definitely.
people are learning to turn on original sound, turn off original sound when you're doing music. It's very important. I'm always teaching everywhere I go. I have a whole thing I print out that I put in the chat to get it sounds so much better.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, cool, cool. Let's hear um um let's hear an original where you incorporate some techniques, maybe if you could, from overseas or a specific region of our great country.
Well, I have to confess, I don't know that I have songs about. I have a song about San Diego, from where I'm from.
Okay. All right.
It's not me actually. It's me enjoying my hometown. I'm my influences. I'm pretty much influenced by the Beatles and Ringo, and I like to call my music a cross between Mister Rogers and South Park, the TV show. So, so
I am 29 years old, so I know what both of those shows were and
oh great,
are. Um,
great. I'll
however,
go.
and at the same time, that is a concerning analogy for many reasons.
Oh really? Is South Park
And
offensive to some people? Or?
no, that is totally fine.
Cool.
But that is that is an interesting way of an interesting picture that you're painting in the an interesting listen for the ears of the listener here tonight.
Well, when I started out, I did mainly kind of quirky songs. I actually, on the cover of my album, there's a picture of me looking in the mirror, and in the mirror, there's a drawing of me done in South Park style. So my dream, like 15 years ago, was to get on South Park. 'Cause I wasn't as good technically. I did funny songs, and then that's what I was known for up until about 7 years ago when I finally mastered the art of doing the softer songs. So this song is called "If You're Bored in San Diego, It's Your Fault." And normally it's a sing along song. I go, if you're bored in San Diego, you go, it's your fault. But Zoom has kind of a lag here, so you don't have to sing along if you don't want to. I have some friends who say they got nothing to do. They're always dissing my city, and they think that I should too. We got nowhere to go. I say you don't live in a vault. You live the dream in San Diego. If you're bored, then it's your fault. If you're bored in San Diego, it's your fault. If you're bored in San Diego, it's your fault. Breathe that fresh air, we got plenty to spare. Turn off that computer and head down to Hooters. We got a zoo for people like you. If you're bored in San Diego, it's your fault. If you're bored in San Diego, it's your fault. So right here, there's a bass solo that my bass player normally plays that the San Diego Union called Nearly Virtuoso. It's a proud moment for him. Unfortunately, he's not here, so I'll just play the same chord or a couple measures. Not quite as exciting. I've lived in San Diego since way before I was born. I've traveled to many cold places to return to where it's always warm. So when I think like a schmo, I have to call it to a halt. I live the dream in San Diego. If I'm bored, then it's my fault. If you're bored in San Diego, it's your fault. If you're bored in San Diego, it's your fault. Breathe that fresh air, we got plenty to spare. Turn off that computer, head down to Hooters. We got a zoo for people like you. If you're bored in San Diego, it's your fault. If you're bored in San Diego, it's your fault.
Perfect. Mm-hmm.
Usually I get like 50 people screaming along on that. Usually I do sing along songs that I'm most well known for. And it's kind of hard to sing along on Zoom because there's a lag and it always doesn't sound right. People can't really play along with each other on Zoom because there's like a tenth of a second delay, which makes syncing up very difficult. But anyways,
That's a great one. Yeah. Okay. Okay. What about some of those not really spirit maybe something not really spiritual but sort of something more
I know what you mean. I have a
yeah.
song. I have a song. This is the song I wrote to be played at my funeral.
Really? You
And
wrote?
I
Okay,
wrote a song to be played
you
at my
played
funeral.
at your. Okay, you wrote your own. Basically, you wrote your own funeral march.
Yes, and it's a song. I wrote the song with Freebo, who was Bonnie Raitt's bass player. He's a great, very great bass player. And it's about what you'd say to people you love if you only had a little time left. And since we're all only here a little while, we might as well say it now. My life is ticking down. It's not what I would choose. I hear your saddened sound of all you think you'll lose. Before I leave this life, I have this wish for you, the hope that you will see the wider view. Only see the wider view and paint the way with me. Your canvas won't be quite so blue if you don't want it to be. The colors that we've known mean you won't paint alone if you choose to see the wider view. It's just a part of life. We're only here a while. We made the best of everything, the most of every mile. And all the joyous times you painted on my face, 'twas you who made me better with your grace. Only see the wider view and paint the way with me. Your canvas won't be quite so blue if you don't want it to be. The colors that we've known mean you won't paint alone if you choose to see the wider view. Soon I will be gone. One last song to sing. Maybe that's the way to give back everything. And I pray that you'll remember that what I say is true, and you will see me in your wider view. Only see the wider view and paint the way with me. Your canvas won't be quite so blue if you don't want it to be. The colors that we've known mean you won't paint alone if you choose to see the wider view. Yes, the colors that we've known mean we don't paint alone if we choose to see the wider view.
Perfect. Absolutely magnificent. Really, I loved that one.
Thank you so much.
It's so the message for having nothing to do with a funeral. You could play that song any day, and it would resonate with so many. It is really,
Absolutely.
really,
I'm gonna keep playing it. I'm never gonna play it at my own funeral because I won't be there to play it. but it's a song for all the time. It's really about considering how you're living your life now, so that you don't regret things later. So you can
yeah,
say the things
yeah,
you want to say now rather than you know. So
yeah. Yeah, I think that's an important message. I think that people today are kind of, a lot of people who maybe are not content creators like us might feel, more lost and not really sure, where things will go, but who knows? Yeah. Okay, sounds like you got another one there. Go right ahead.
well, I've always got another one. Is there anything you'd like to ask me about or talk about, or you want to just hear some more music?
Let's hear let's change up. Let me change up the style. Let's hear something very your most upbeat, high energy.
Uh, This is a song about life on the autistic spectrum. I wrote it because when I was younger, I was basically kind of on the autistic spectrum. I still kind of am, although I developed myself. Some people you want to talk to every chance you can. You walk into a room and they greet you with a grin. You like who you are so much better when you're with them. So thank you for being my friend. Thank you for Some people you want to talk to when each week comes along. You know that they'll support you and help you to feel strong. You hope they'll love your stories like the chorus of a song. So thank you for being my friend. Thank you for being my friend. So thank you for being my friend. Thank you for being my friend. But some people you want to talk to when something happens that's new. You know life's best moments won't seem real until you do. And every day I'm glad I found my way to you. So thank you for being my friend. Thank you for being my friend. When can we do this again?
That was adorable. I completely loved that. That meant so much to me and so much to many of our listeners. I also I also consider myself to be very mildly on the spectrum as well, and that message is so important. But really, even if you are not on the spectrum, you should still value that sentence and just value the concept of thank you for just being a kind person. Thanks for your kindness. Thanks for being a friend. You know,
Absolutely.
that melody is so, yeah, that is your best one yet. I
Oh,
think
really?
we I think we might have to end with that because that's really the message of Aaron's opinion. I say help one person today, help a million people tomorrow, and that is such a helpful message. There's something very very positive, very, as I said, endearingly unusual and incredibly positive about your music and the way that you approach the songs. It's so positive, so pleasant, and so appropriate for this day and age. Um um yeah, have you I always sometimes I'd like to ask, have you listened to any of my content or seen any of my YouTube videos?
I haven't yet. I went on your YouTube channel, saw you had a couple of videos there. I didn't have a chance to check them out yet, but I certainly will.
Sure,
And
that is
I have
fine.
a YouTube as well, Happy Ron YouTube. I've been on for like 12 years since YouTube started, and all these songs I have videos for, including that one. There's a series of it's a professional recording with a series of quotes in the on the screen about being on the autistic spectrum. So it's very inspirational for people that
Hmm.
and it features my bass player's daughter, who's actually severely autistic. She's 10 years old, and she's probably about 1 year old emotionally, and so it's very touching. So
Oh, so good, so good. I interviewed well, truthfully, I interview so many people. I have to remember who I'm interviewing when I'm doing I've had so many people on this podcast, but one of them is a basically a talk show host like me, and and he also is autistic, and his message very similar to that. When I heard that song, I thought of this message. His message is a friend is the nicest thing you can have and the nicest thing you can be, and that is the message of that song. So
yeah,
when I heard that, I was like, I thought of him right away. Right away, I thought of him for that. That was a great one. Um, so okay, so you've talked to people, all over the world, but so where have you traveled outside of the States?
I haven't traveled that much in my life. I went to England. I did the whole Liverpool tour. There's a singer called Kate Bush who back in the '90s I really liked a lot, and my first experience of the internet was there was a Kate Bush news group. This was before the actual World Wide Web, when the internet was all text.
Sure.
And they had, and I was like, oh, all these Kate Bush fans. And so she had a fan club convention. So I went over there for the fan club convention. And then I went to
Oh
see
boy.
all the Beatles sites, of course, because I'm a big Beatles fan. And I've been to Canada and I've been to Mexico, and that's about it. I haven't traveled. I really want to do more traveling. I haven't done it, although I feel like I travel with the. I did go shark diving down down in Mexico a couple times. So there's video.
Oh, oh, good, good. So do you have a scuba diving license?
Yeah, I got trained when on the trip, and I did. I think I went on I think 12 shark dives in 14 days, which is like
Oh,
the maximum you're allowed to, or 12 scuba diving, and then I think and some of them were shark dives, and then there's a video of me online where there's literally me feeding the sharks at the bottom of the ocean out of a box, and there's literally about 12 of them circling around me. I mean,
oh.
it looks like doesn't even look like it's real because it's so you can go there and feed them. And I had a lot of money back then, so I paid a lot of money. Usually you do it in a group, but I paid to just do it one on one. So it was me and the guy training me, and it was quite an intense experience. And then I went. That was with Caribbean reef sharks, and then I went with in Hawaii. I went to actually with great white sharks, which actually would eat you if they had a chance. So I was in a cage for that one, and that was pretty exciting too.
Wow, wow, I would do that. Yeah, I've had a lot of exciting experiences traveling. I've been similar to that. I've been chased by an elephant before in
Oh,
Eswatini in Swaziland.
well,
Um,
yeah,
so
elephant.
any experience that I have with animals, I love. So yeah. And with it's interesting. I've never had the opportunity to scuba dive. But I wouldn't mind doing it because I love seeing different colors and different visual things. You know, with my glaucoma, um, I'm blind, but I know this doesn't make any sense, but it's just the way it is. I have usable vision for seeing some things, so I am able to see and perceive colors, you know.
Oh, excellent.
So swimming in that type of environment with like a lot of plants, a lot of underwater. Did you there's like a famous for scuba divers, there's like a famous place in Mexico where there's like a big underwater forest and there's like big underwater waterfalls, but it's a famous place that like all the scuba divers go to.
I
Um,
went. There was I forget the name of it. There was an actual underwater cave you had to go in, and to do it, you needed to have. That was like the hardcore thing because if you went up, usually if you're scuba diving and things go wrong, you head up and you have water. Well, if you went up in this thing, you'd have a cave. So it was like a 20-minute thing to get out of the cave. It wasn't so if something bad happened, you'd be in up the creek without a paddle. So you had to go and someone had a backup oxygen and all that stuff. And so I went into that, and that was the only part that was scary because you'd look up and say, "Wait a minute, I'm kind of in a dark cave underwater." And I did that last, which was probably a really bad idea because that was right at the point where I was just starting to get the effects of having too many dives in too short a period. You're only supposed to do like a certain amount over a period of time, and that was my last dive, and it was a little scary, but it was fun.
that's really cool, really cool. What was the most unusual creature apart from sharks? But what was the most beautiful creature that you saw?
Well, it's hard to say exactly, but when you go underwater, like in a very beautiful environment, it's like watching some animated movie. The colors are just amazingly powerful right away, and it's just I mean, I'll never forget it. And I was born without a socket in my left hip, so for the first 50 years of my life, I walked with a limp. And when you're scuba diving, of course, that doesn't impact you, and you're in three dimensions. So it was really for me an extra kind of spiritual experience to be down there and just to not have the hip pain that I always had until I had my hips replaced 5 years ago, but I always had pain in my hips.
Oh, good
And
heavens.
so it was just a very powerful experience. As a matter of fact, there's a picture. I bought a very, very expensive painting of dolphins and as kind of a memento for that. It's one of my prized possessions. Maybe the most expensive thing I own, actually. It was like 2 grand at the time, and it's still pretty valuable. So
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow. Well, that's quite a thing. That's really fascinating. But yeah, I love nature and seeing nature just in its natural habitat like that. It's very exciting for sure, for sure. Yeah, yeah. Well, since you've been to I mean, since you've been to Mexico, can you play any Spanish music, any reggae music, any music that kind of has that kind of
Well,
flavor to it?
this song, I'll play a song. I've actually done it in different styles, and one of the styles was
Let's see. Okay, so what are all the styles in the menu here? What style can I pick?
well, I originally started off as like a new agey song, and then it was a kind of a rock song, and then it was there's a Spanish form of music. Oh shoot, I forget what it's called. And a friend of mine said you should try it in that style, so I learned it in that style. I forget what it's called right offhand. And then I went back to the original new agey style, but it kind of kept elements of all of those. So it's still a Happy Ron song, but it's got kind of got a little bit of that maybe a mysterious Spanish flavor to it. I think maybe I'm just imagining it from because I
Well, let's
remember.
well let's well let's give it a play and let's see.
I still wanna find my heart a place in a world that's forgotten how to live with grace. People moving so fast that they never learn to dance. To build a life that starts with romance. The lost art of love. The lost art of love. She kissed my lips, and we knew when they touched that we were finally home. It didn't take much, but time can take away its gifts, and now she's gone, wrapped in its mist. The lost art of love. The lost art of love. Should I just give up and leave the dream behind? Or do I have the faith to risk it one more time? Crawling out of a hole, 1,000 memories deep. I need to be ready to be found by what I seek. I know it won't come back till I start to let it in. It's time to learn the art of love again. The lost art of love. The lost art of love. The lost art of love. The lost art of love.
Cool. Cool.
Bolero was the style.
Oh, because I was thinking another word. I was thinking that you were that other Spanish style. Mariachi is what I was thinking.
Mariachi, maybe a little bit of it. Yeah, there is a
No, but
version.
there, yeah, but I could see that being very yeah, you could maybe well, I love that the way that was actually. That was perfect. That was perfect like that, Ron, but maybe like I wonder if you kind of spiced that one up and kind of threw more of an operatic mariachi twist on it, kind of. But no, don't do that because that was really perfectly good. But I'm saying
Yeah.
maybe that would be an interesting thing to try on one of your lives. I don't know. Take that song and kind of compose it up a little bit and kind of put a mariachi twist, some mariachi spice into it. I don't, but see, I don't know if that would have that same good feel though. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, well, this song actually, I said I have recordings of this in many different styles, and as it's gone, the older versions of the song, and
Hmm.
the bolero version was kind of interesting, but I like to think that I've captured that some of that spirit stays in the current version of it. But I don't know. It's hard to say. This song is originally was called for like 7 years. The title of the song was "La of." That was actually the title of it. It used to go, always believed in love, of. And it's kind of like a drunken song, like some wino would drink about being bitter about love and stuff. And about 3 years ago, I got the idea to change it, make it into a more serious song. And it took a lot of work, but it's actually finally kind of where I want it to be. I'm going to be releasing the studio track here in the next couple of weeks.
Cool, cool. So you said you'd be releasing the studio track, and you also mentioned an album. So, um, how are you releasing your music, and how does that work? In podcasting, we're on iTunes, we kind of put up content, and then it's published into platforms after the fact. But how does it work these days on the music side?
Well, you can. I release my all my songs. My goal is to get a video of a studio track, which would be like it might have pictures or quotes with it or whatever, and then or visuals, and I release that to YouTube, to Facebook, to TikTok, to Twitter, to all of the above. It's a video of the song, and then I also try and do live videos of all my songs, and then also I release all my once they're complete as songs, I release them on iTunes and uh, Spotify and all those things, and also have them all on SoundCloud. I'm Happy Ron 10 on SoundCloud. Find me at Happy Ron one word at pretty much everywhere, Facebook, YouTube, and then I'm Happy Ron 10 on some things because apparently there's 9 other Happy Rons I didn't know about.
But you know what? That's good because the other Rons out there, we're also glad that they're happy, and I'm sure they would want to be our friends too. So
Absolutely,
I'm glad of that. I'm glad for them. I'm glad they're
absolutely.
happy. Yes, yes. Well, very good. Well, that's really good. Yeah. And well, what link? So, and where can people? What link do you want me to put in the description? I mean, you can send it to me later. Do you want me to just put your SoundCloud? Do you want your YouTube channel in there? Where do you
Probably
want
be
people to
best to
go?
do the YouTube because I pretty much I or SoundCloud or both. I have all my songs are available on YouTube that have videos, and then there's a few that I haven't made videos for. And the easiest way to get those is on SoundCloud under Happy Ron 10. Eventually, I make videos for all of them, but I
So,
don't.
right, but so would you say that most of your content is on YouTube?
Everything's on YouTube except for the songs I don't have videos for yet.
Yeah,
So
okay. That would be, yeah. I can get, yeah. I think that for the purposes of this, the best one would be the YouTube
absolutely.
link.
And
If you
then
could.
if you're a hardcore fan, you can go to SoundCloud and hear some songs. I just released a video about
Hmm.
3 weeks ago of the first song that I played, "Even the Hardest Heart," and it tells the story of Baby Yoda and the Mandalorian. So it has the video, their whole story from when they met to the end of the second season, and it's gotten a bunch of plays because people really like it. And so it's one of my most popular videos already. So that's very exciting.
Hmm.
So I love
Excellent.
Star Wars.
Okay. Well, do you have? Well, fine. Do you have an original Star Wars song? An original that
I
you want to
do
give?
not. I used to play with a band called the Canton Mutters, and they did Star Wars nerd songs. So they had songs about R2D2 and C3PO. They were pretty funny. They were pretty funny too because they're like hardcore nerds beyond what I am. I'm more of a music nerd, but I have never actually written a song about Star Wars.
Can you can you just make one up?
Uh, I'm not very good at making stuff up on the spot. I'm actually very kind of anal about my music. Where
Sure,
I
sure.
love my newest song is it's literally I'm doing the recording of it today. It's
Hmm.
actually literally the 18th draft of the song. And most of the songs I
Hmm.
played for you have gone through somewhere between 5 and 25 drafts. So I'm very careful about.
Excellent. So how, yeah. So I'm sure people would want to know how long does it take to really get your songs up to get a song, any song up to that level from paper to your mind, your imagination to the paper and then all the way, into the microphone. How many times does it generally take?
It's anywhere between for me. It's been anywhere between a day and 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I have some songs of mine from 20 years ago that I literally just I got them to a state where I could released them last year. A couple songs from some of the early songs that I wrote. And it's not, I don't think it normally takes 20 years, although Leonard Cohen, his picture is behind me, he took 20 years to write songs. It's just that I've become a much better songwriter in that time. So I look back at my old music and I see the flaws in it and I improve it. I don't think I'm going to write any songs now that are going to take me another 20 years because I think I know how to finish them and make them better than I did 20 years ago. But you could basically consider most songs that I've done represent about, if you count recording and doing the video, most of them represent about 100 hours work.
Excellent. That's so good. So good. Hmm.
You keep
And
writing until it's cool is my philosophy. People say, when do you stop writing? You keep writing until it's cool. One of the big things I teach my students all the time, songwriting students, is I tell them it's very easy to write a song. Like you can write a song, here I write a song, I made it all along. Here comes my song, it's going strong. It's easy to write a song that's, okay, but most songwriters want to write a song that's going to be remembered 10 years from now. And so to write a great song, an amazing song, it might take a little bit of work. You know, a song that's going to stand out. That's not going to
yeah,
sound like a cliche.
absolutely. So yeah, and I find the same is true with podcasting. It's taken me over a year to really, I mean, I'm sure you know what I mean, but not really get used to it's not really the word, but to truly, for me to feel like I'm truly giving the content that I want to give and truly expressing the flavor of the podcast that I want to give, this open flavor where we're able to have these great people like you and all my other guests from around the world come in and talk about a wide range of issues. Music is a great issue, but we've had everything from really serious stuff. I mean, I've talked to a retired correctional officer from a prison before. So we've talked about that type of community. I mean, positive, sad stories, happy stories, really funny stuff. Very, very interesting stories, and that's truly the art of podcasting. It's to be able, just like music, to be able to tell stories and to be able to convey a message that helps one person today and maybe a
Absolutely.
million others tomorrow. And that's why I truly believe it. And that's do you have a podcast where you just talk about music and songwriting and that type of thing?
I do not. I've actually been on podcasts going back 20 years, but I've never actually
Wow. Wow.
held a pod. I never actually did my own podcast. It's something I've always kind of thought about because I
Well,
do
think
like
about
talking to people.
well,
I like
think about it. You know what you're doing you're doing a magnificent job. I love your content. Go for it. Don't be all nervous. Don't be all shy. Just jump right in. You know.
The funny thing is with me, it's not really a matter of nervousness because I like to say after you've been on stage 1,000 times, you're not nervous anymore about being on
Hmm.
stage. I don't get nervous normally unless there's something really, somebody really, I really want to impress in the audience or something like that. It's really just a matter of time, like how many hours in the day. There's so many things that I like to do, and a podcast doing it right would take a good investment of time. And I'm not saying I'll never do it. Maybe I will, but I like interviews going back to the old Larry King show. He used to interview people back going years, and he was really a great listener. He would just like let people talk and hear their stories. And nowadays, so many interviewers want to tell you their story and their opinion and what they think about things and blah blah blah, which is fine. But the art of listening is something that we need to get back to. I think in this country, just letting people talk and tell their story.
Well, I'm listening. I'm ready, and I'm pleased to let you and all guests tell their story here.
Absolutely,
This
that's why I
is
think that's why I'm sure you'll be successful.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. Although just listening, that doesn't guarantee that we don't want to give the wrong impression to our viewers here. Just listening to someone that doesn't automatically make you the success. But I do appreciate it. But you said you were on a podcast 20 years ago. I mean, what was it like to be on a podcast 20 years ago?
Well, I've been on I've been on the local radio stations and stuff. The
Great.
91X local station here, they actually played a song. They play a song of mine on their local music show. So I've been on that. Um, I've been on a friend of mine had I used to be a member of the clan Assassin 3D. It was a trackball that you used to play Doom in all the early games. It was a trackball joystick combination, and he did a podcast. And this was actually like 22 years ago, and Actually, my very first song, I just did this silly thing about it was a love song to a joystick. It was all about how we loved our joystick and we liked to kill each other with it and stuff. And that was quite literally the first song I ever wrote. I don't even remember how it went, but so I was on his podcast. I think that was the first podcast I was ever on, probably in the late '90s. And I still know him, by the way, as the same guy. And we're Facebook friends now, and we talk all the time. And I've never met him in person, but we made an internet friendship back before internet friendships were a big deal.
That is fascinating.
Yeah, if you just, I mean, it's very fortunate for, especially, I was kind of, I had trouble getting out as much because I was socially, had a lot of anxiety, and then my physical problem, created a lot of anxiety. And so I've always been a computer person. And it's amazing how people, we talk about how much it divides people, but there's also the great opportunity to bring people together. Like I on my Facebook page every day, I'll ask a question. It'll be something non-controversial, something for people like, I'll give a quote and get people's feedback on it. And people are so happy to have a conversation that doesn't revolve around what do you think of the president or what do you think of, this or that. That's actually about what's meaningful to people's lives. And so I think I think the human nature, especially with everything that's going on, I think the human nature of connection through the internet is something that's going to be stressed more and more because I think people are kind of tired deep inside themselves of all the division and they want to find ways of talking to each other more. So
I think podcasting is the way, and
absolutely,
music, and I think this is the way to have the conversations without any doubt.
absolutely.
Yeah, cool, cool. All right, go for it. Let's hear something else.
So this is my new song. I actually have a deadline in 3 hours from now. I actually have to finish my recording of this after we're done here. I'm going to get back to editing it. I have some people looking for. I submit to different things. People looking for film and TV and stuff. So it's kind of a new song. This is draft 18, but I think I've gotten it down. The distance between us has come to an end. Now we dance once again. Feel the sun warming our face. Take a deep breath and say amen. After all the standing still, we sit together and drink our tea. After all the standing still, I hold you and you sing with me. We break bread once again, finally live life our way. We can make it to tomorrow since we made it through today. After all the standing still, each day doesn't seem like the rest. After all the standing still, we move together into our best. Now time passes by like it used to do. We know that we've made it through. We give each other the love we need, you and me. And quicksand moves to gravity. Our fingers touch and we are free. Now we finally get to breathe. Yes, now we finally get to breathe. After all the standing still, we know that we've done good. After all the standing still, I stand by you like I should. I still stand by you like I should.
Final copy. As far as I'm concerned, that was
Yeah,
perfect.
that
It
was
was
I screwed up the second to last and third to last chords, but that's fine. I just
That's
have
all
to.
right. That's no worries. It was still even with that, I still enjoyed that one. That was still really, really you have a very gentle and a very strong, there's something very gentle, very peaceful and very strong about the way that you approach the music. I'm really into this style. Yeah.
Thank you so
So
much. Yeah,
good.
I'm actually I have two tracks for it already prepared with drums and everything. One's going to be like a little bit of a style I just did, but with all the different instruments, including the
Mm-hmm.
strings. Another one's going to be more of a slightly poppy version, and I'm actually been editing those
No,
all day.
but you know what? Now that I'm hearing you on these kind of slower pieces, I like hearing your more ginger ones, your more gingerly ones, where you're just sort of really kind of delicate and wise and strong at the same
Right.
time.
Yeah.
That's that kind of character that I like about your music, you know. Now let someone else, you know, you're great at it. Let someone else do pop, and you know, all of your upbeat stuff is also great, but I don't know, I prefer all I prefer with you as a listener, I want more of the slower, more chill. Yeah, more chill stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got
That's
plenty. I got plenty of. I have lots of different styles. So a lot of times I'll take a song and I'll actually make recordings of it in dramatically different styles because what will
cool.
happen is someone is for a movie might be looking for like a pop song, and
Mhm.
I may not never play that song in that style, but I have a recording of it in case I could possibly get it in a movie or something like that. So I'll always play that song in that style, but it also I can play it in other styles as well.
Yeah, yeah. I tell you what, we have time for one more, and then I'm going to want that friend song to walk us out of here for our ticket out of the theater, our ticket out of the pavilion, I guess. So how about one more, one more really touching one before the friend one?
So the song I went into a room with two strangers 15 years ago, and they told us to write a song, and we're in groups of three, and we all went out in our groups of three and played for the big group of like 100 people. We all played our songs, and we said, well, let's throw out words, and the woman wrote out, sang out terribly, and I sang out happy, and we wrote this song, and I didn't think it was very good, you know, terribly happy, terrible. What's that about? We went and played it. Everybody loved it. And it's become my most popular song. It's a sing along song. You don't have to sing along online, but you can sing along underneath your breath. When I go terribly happy, you go terribly happy, terribly happy. Been working, packing groceries for many long years. Been looking for ways to pack up my tears. That's why I write my songs, try to make them snappy, 'cause it makes me feel terribly happy, terribly happy, terribly happy. My girlfriend got pregnant, got sick in my car. While I built the crib, she just went and barfed. So when she finally popped that kid out, she felt terribly happy, terribly happy. If life gets you down, turn it around and be terribly happy, terribly happy, terribly happy, terribly happy. If I never make it, that's okay. You know I'm gonna have plenty more to say. It's all about the people who don't make me feel crappy, the ones who make me feel terribly happy, terribly happy, terribly happy, terribly happy, terribly happy, terribly happy. Ooh, ooh,
That's the best one. I completely agree with you. That that's yes. Yes, 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 yes. Mark that down, right, record it, pack the bags. You can take that on tour, not just on Zoom, not just on Aaron's opinion, but maybe on a real life stage. I would you've got it. We got it. You got to get onto a real stage, a real pavilion, get a bunch of well, get 100,000 people. Half of them are terrible people. The other half are happy.
Well, I've actually played that song about literally. I'm not exaggerating. I played that song 1,000 times on stage. So it's
Oh,
people always
that's
love it. They've loved it right from the beginning.
that's perfect. Well, of course, coming down to me wrapping up this episode, I absolutely loved having you. Oh, terribly. You know what? Let me just interrupt myself. You know what? Terribly happy vaguely reminded me of the same kind of the same flavor, same flavor of it. It reminded me of my, but I'm friends with him, so I know he's cool with it. When Rob plays Rob Castrogiovanni plays Paratransit, his version of Paratransit. That's what it reminds me of.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I think I've heard him play that one.
Yeah. It has that same sarcastic, comical, and object and like understandable message that like making fun of society. It's the same kind of thing. Yeah. I always love to ask every guest, every magnificent one like you. Do you have one question that you want to ask me to really make me sweat, to really make me worth my salt?
Um, what? Well, I kind of asked it already, but what meaning? What meaning does being a podcaster bring to you? What does it bring to your life?
It means that I can help you, and I can be helpful. I can tell interesting stories, connect with people, produce content that someone else enjoys, that I enjoy, that's creative. It's very similar to being a musician. It's still producing things that we hear and that hopefully someone else likes. So if I helped you be a happier Ron,
Ah,
then that's all that matters. So
cool.
that's why I'm a podcaster. Aaron's Opinion 6 at gmail.com, 1240-681-9869. Don't forget, follow, like, share the video. And of course, if you guys want to get in touch with Happy Ron, click the link in the description for more information. I leave you with a couple parting notes and then I'll turn it over and you'll walk us out of here with that friend. But before I do, remember, I wish you, Ron, very, very good health. My listeners, very good health, and the world, very good health. And of course, as I like to say on this podcast, the message that I like to send to the world is help one person today, help a million tomorrow. And as one of my other great friends in the podcast and broadcast community has told me on one of his slogans, I love it. I'm gonna borrow it. I'm sure he's okay with it because he's a great friend to us all. As our great friend would say, that truly a friend is the nicest thing you can have and the nicest thing you can be. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next time. Go ahead.
Some people you want to talk to every chance you can. You walk into a room and they greet you with a grin. You like who you are so much better when you're with them. So thank you for being my friend. Thank you for being my friend Aaron. Some people you want to talk to when each week comes along. You know that they'll support you and help you to feel strong. You hope they'll love your stories like the chorus of a song. So thank you for being my friend. 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 But some people you want to talk to when something happens that's new. You know life's best moments won't seem real until you do. And every day I'm glad I found my way to you. So thank you for being my friend. Thank you for being my friend. When do this.